जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today is Thursday. It is 2nd of October. It is Ashwini Masa or Padmanabha Masa, Shukla Paksham and Dasami Tithi. So there are two events today in the calendar. So one is the appearance day of the great Acharya, Sripad Madhvacharya. So he is our prominent Acharya in our disciplic section. So there is a few lines from the special Vaishnava days about Madhvacharya. That is one event, and also another event is the Dashara or the Sri Rama Vijayotchava. We shall read a few lines from special Vaishnava days. Okay, about Madhvacharya. In his childhood, Madhvacharya was known as Vasudeva, and there are some wonderful stories surrounding him. It is said that once, when his father had piled up many debts, Madhvacharya converted tamarind seeds into actual coins to pay them off. When he was 5 years old, he was offered the sacred thread. A demon named Maniman lived near his abode in the form of a snake, and at the age of 5, Madhvacharya killed that snake with the toe of his left foot. When his mother was very much disturbed, he would appear before her in one jump. He was a great scholar even in the childhood, and although his father did not agree, he accepted sannyasa at the age of 12. Upon receiving sannyasa from Achyuta Preksha, he received the name Purna Prajna Tirtha. After traveling all over India, he finally discussed the scriptures with uh, Vidyashankara, the exalted leader of Sringeri Mata. Vidyashankara was actually diminished in the presence of Madhvacharya. Accompanied by Satyatirtha, Madhvacharya went to Badrikashrama. It was there that he met Vyasadeva and explained his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita before him. Thus he became a great scholar by studying before Vyasadeva. By the time he came to the Anandamata from Badrikashrama, Madhvacharya had finished his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, and his companion Satyatirtha wrote down the entire commentary. When Madhvacharya returned from Badrikashrama, he went to Ganjama, which is known on the bank of the river Godavari. There he met with two learned scholars named Shobhana Bhatta and Swami Shastri. Later, these scholars became known in the disciplic succession of Madhvacharya as Padmanabha Tirtha and Narahari Tirtha. When he returned to Udupi, he would sometimes bathe in the ocean. On such an occasion, he composed a prayer in 5 chapters. Once, while sitting beside the sea, engrossed in meditation upon Lord Sri Krishna, he saw that a large boat containing goods for Dwarka was in danger. He gave some signs by which the boat could approach the shore, and it was saved. The owners of the boat wanted to give him a present, and at the time, Madhvacharya agreed to take some gopi chandana. He received a big lump of gopi chandana, and as it was being brought to him, it broke apart and revealed a large deity of Lord Krishna. The deity had a stick in one hand and a lump of food in the other. As soon as Madhvacharya received the deity of Krishna in this way, he composed a prayer. The deity was so beautiful that not even 30 people could lift it. Yet, Madhvacharya personally brought this deity to Udupi. 8 of Madhvacharya's sannyasa disciples became directors of 8 monasteries. Worship of the Lord Krishna deity is still going on at Udupi according to the plans Madhvacharya established. Okay, so that is there is further information about it. So there are lots of details about Madhvacharya's pastimes. That is one of the pastime. I will share that one later on in the WhatsApp group when time permits. And then another event is the Ramachandra Vijayotchava. The day Ramachandra finally killed the 10-day uh, Vijay Rama Lord Rama killed the 10-headed demon Ravanasura. who had kidnapped Sita Devi, the Lord's wife. So this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, and verse number 22. So Naradevanah Surakarichikeshaya Samudra Nigrahadini Chakre Viryanatah Param. In the 18th incarnation, Lord appeared as King Rama in order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods. He exhibited superhuman powers by controlling the Indian Ocean and then killing the atheist king Ravana, who was on the other side of the sea. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned the personality of Godhead Rama assumed the form of a human being and appeared on the earth for the purpose of doing some pleasing work for the demigods or the administrative personalities to maintain the order of the universe. Sometimes great demons and atheists like Ravana and Hiranyakshipu and many others become very famous due to advancing material civilization by the help of material science and other activities with the spirit of challenging the established order of the Lord. For example, the attempt to fly to other planets by material means is a challenge to the established order. The conditions of each and every planet are different, and different classes of human beings are accommodated there for particular purposes mentioned in the codes of the Lord. But puffed up by tiny success in material advancement, sometimes the godless materialists challenge the existence of God. Ravana was one of them, and he wanted to deport ordinary men to the planet of Indra by material means without consideration of the necessary qualifications. He wanted a staircase to be built up directly reaching the heavenly planet so that people might not be required to undergo the routine of pious work necessary to enter that planet. He also wanted to perform other acts against the established rule of the Lord. He even challenged the authority of Sri Rama, the personality of Godhead, and kidnapped his wife Sita. Of course, Lord Rama came to chastise this atheist, answering the prayer and desire of the demigods. He therefore took up the challenge of Ravana, and the complete activity is the subject matter of Ramayana. Because Lord Ramchandra was the personality of Godhead, he exhibited superhuman activities which no human being, including the materially advanced Ravana, could perform. Lord Ramachandra prepared a royal road on the Indian Ocean with stones that floated on the water. The modern scientists have done research in the area of weightlessness, but it is not possible to bring in weightlessness anywhere and everywhere. But because weightlessness is the creation of the Lord by which he can make the gigantic planets fly and float in the air, he made the stones even within this earth to be weightless and prepared a stone bridge on the sea without any supporting pillar. That is the display of the power of God. Okay, so that is from Sri Ramchandra Dasharada's festival, and also there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela. Um, So there is one Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's that statement also mentioned that he mentioning about the Ramachandra. So Krishna, 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 hey. So that is a small kirtan, and also where he mentioned Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava Rakshamam, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava Pahimam. Okay, so O Lord Rama, descendant of King Raghu, please protect me. O Krishna, O Keshava, killer of the Keshi demon, please maintain me. Okay, in such a way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also glorified Ramachandra. Okay, so this is about the events perspective. We shall move into our daily Srimad Bhagavatam. ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Hare Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Maitreya Muni speaking about Virat Rupa and different functions of the Varnashrama Dharma were manifested from the different limbs of the Virat Rupa from his face. So the Vedic wisdom was manifested. Brahmanas took shelter of it, and then later from his arms of Virat Rupa's arms, um, where the kshatram, which is the function of kshatriyas, that was manifested, and kshatriyas taken that particular function, and then from his thighs, vishaha, that is the business, the way of maintaining the society with the livelihood. So that business, Krushi Goraksha Vanijyam, Sudra Karma, Vaishya Karma Svabhavajam. So that functions were manifested from the thighs. So Vaishyas took that function, and Sudras, the service, the function was manifested from the feet of the Virat Rupa. And the labor class, that is Sudras, took that particular activity. Okay, so in such a way he has mentioned Padbhyam Bhagavato Jajne Susrusha Dharma Siddhaye Tasyam Jataha Pura Sudro Yadhrityat Tushyate Harihi. So by carrying out their functions, all varnas and the ashramas, they can uh, satisfy Krishna. Tushyate Harehe. Tushyate Harihi. So that is in such a way Maitreya Muni mentioning. So today he is further describing that all this Varnashrama Dharma, by simply carrying out their functions under the direction of the spiritual master, and then this is for the people who are all with complete faith and discipline. For them, by taking shelter of spiritual master and then purify themselves by carrying out their functions of their varnas, their dharmas. And dharma means comes from a particular varna: Sudra Dharma, Vaishya Dharma, and Kshatriya Dharma, Brahmana Dharma. Okay, so in such a Maitreya speaking. So we are in the Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, chapter 6, verse number 34. ये ते वर्णाः स्वधर्मेण यजन्ति स्वगुरुं हरिं श्रद्धया आत्मविशुद्ध्यर्थं यज्जाता सह वृत्तिभिः ये ते वर्णाः स्वधर्मेण ये ते वर्णाः स्वधर्मेण. All these orders of the society by one's own occupational duties. Swadharmena, by one's own occupational duties. Yajanti, they worship. Swagurum Harim, and with the spiritual master, with the help of spiritual master or under the guidance of spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master, Harim, Yajanti Harim, worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ye te varnaha sudharmena yajanti swagurum Harim, worship Hari under the guidance of spiritual master. And who are they? Shraddhaya Atma Visuddhyadham. And people who are very faithful to purify themselves. Shraddhaya is the with faith and devotion. That is Shraddhaya. Atma Visuddhyadham. Atma Visuddhi, self, and Visuddhyadham, for purifying himself. Yajjataha sahurtibihi, and yajjataha sahurtibihi. All these vrittibihi, these occupational duties, they were manifested from Hari. They were manifested from Hari. So, simply by carrying out those activities, following their own dharma under the guidance of spiritual master, worship Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is how Samsiddhir Haritoshanam, Lord will be pleased, and dharmas can act all people by simply following their activities, prescribed duties. Okay, this is Ete Varnaha Swadharmena Yajanti Swagurum Harim Shraddhaya Atma Visuddhyadham Yajjataha Sahuruttibihi. Okay, translation. All these different social divisions are born with their occupational duties and living conditions from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, for unconditional life and self-realization, one has to worship the Supreme Lord under the direction of the spiritual master. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Can I request Meena Mataji to read purport, please?
Hare Krishna. Since they are since they are born from different parts of the body of the Supreme Lord in His gigantic form, all living entity in all parts of the entire universe are supposed to be eternal servitor of the Supreme Body. Every part of our own body, such as the mouth, hands, thigh, and legs, is meant to render service to the whole. That is their constitutional uh, position in subhuman life. The living entity are not conscious of the constitutional position, but in the human form of life, they are supposed to know this through the system of the various varnas. Sorry, system of the varnas, the social order of the social orders. Is above mentioned, the Brahmana is the spiritual master of all the other order of society, and thus Brahmanical culture, culminating in the transcendental service of the Lord, is the basic principle for purifying the soul. In conditional in in conditional life, the soul is under the impression that he can become the Lord of the universe. And the last point of this misconception is to think oneself the supreme. The foolish conditional soul does not take into account that the supreme cannot be conditional by Maya or illusion. If the supreme were to become conditional by illusion, where would be his supremacy? In that case, Maya or illusion would be the supreme. Therefore, because the living entity are conditional, they cannot be supreme. They cannot be supreme. The actual position of the conditional soul is explained in this verse. All the conditional soul are impure due to contact with the material energy in three modes of nature. Therefore, the purify it is necessary that they purify themselves under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, who not only is a Brahmana by qualification but must also be a Vaishnava. The only purifying process mentioned herein is to worship the Lord under the recognized method, under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master. That is the nature way of purification, and no other method is recommended as bona fide. The other method of purification may be helpful to become to this stage of life, but ultimately one has to come to this last point before we attain actual perfection. Bhagavad, Bhagavad Gita 7.19 confirm this truth as follow. Brahmana Brahmana janaman ante bahuna janmana ante nanaya nanayamam prapayante Vaishnava वासुदेवा सर्वम् इति स महामता दुर्लभः बहु न ओके हरे कृष्ण श्री प्रभुपाद
Jai. Thank you, Mataji. So here, Prabhupada is describing like since they are born from different parts of the body of the Supreme Lord in gigantic form, all living entities in all parts of the entire universe are supposed to be eternal servitors of the Supreme body. This is again Mamaivaamsha Jivaloke Jivabhutaha Sanatanaha Manasastani Indriyani Prakrutistani Karshati. They are part and parcel of the Supreme, and they're supposed to be servitors of the Supreme Lord, and giving every part of analogies, every part of our own body, such as the mouth, hands, thighs, and legs, is meant to render service to the world. Okay, so that is their constitutional position. But in the subhuman society, subhuman life, the living entities are not conscious of this constitutional position, but in the human form of the life, they are supposed to know this through the system of the varnas, the social orders, as above mentioned. As above mentioned, the Brahmana is the spiritual master of all the orders of society. Thus, Brahmanical culture, culminating in transcendental service of the Lord, is the basic principle for purifying the soul. So here, whenever Maitreya Muni mentioned Swadharmena Yajanti Swagurum Harim, and all these eight all these varnas by carrying out their functions, and then please Hari under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master. And one of so like all this, we have got hands, legs, and mouth and everything. They're all there to serve the body as a whole. How does that happen in as a whole to? So one of the statement is mentioned, Yatataror mola nishechanena trupyanti tatskanda bhujopashakaha pranopaharachana yatendriyanam tadaiva sarvarhanam achyutejya. So three analogies it is given here in the Bhagavatam, that is the 4th canto 31 chapter, Shloka 14. Yata taror mola nishechanena, by watering the root of a tree, trupyanti tatskanda bhujopashakaha, and a tree's branches, leaves, twigs, and everything will be nourished. Tatskanda bhujopashakaha, branches, and also many other small twigs and leaves and everything, fruits and flowers. Trupyanti, they will be satisfied. Pranapaharochana yatendriyanam. When we feed the tummy with all kinds of food, then tummy will digest it and will nourish all parts of the body. In such a way, Tataiva, similarly, Sarvarhanam Achyutejha, one has to worship the Hari. When one worships Hari, then everyone will, all functions will be functions, and deities, everyone will be nourished. Sarvarhanam. If you worship Hari, even goddess of Durga, Vishnu, and Lord Shiva, Brahma, everyone are worshipped indirectly. Okay, but this is Yajanti Vidhi Purakam. This is Vidhi Purakam. If you worship demigods separately, that is Avidhi Purakam. Yajanti Avidhi Purakam. They are not worshipping in their proper way. Okay, and further Prabhupada mentions about the conditioned soul is the under the impression that he can become the Lord of the universe. And the last point of this conception is to think of oneself the supreme. Um, so this is he is always, but the foolish conditioned soul does not take into the account that supreme cannot be conditioned by Maya or the illusion. So we have got the material body. Material body itself means it is ignorance. That's why tamasoma jyotirgmaya amrutangam. What is that one? Mrityorma amrutangamaya. So that is again one of the statements are comes. So one has to come out from this darkness. One should. Our body is now covered by the material elements. That one has to understand, but it is not that much easy. And then thinking family members, all relations, and of this world, that is not that much easy. To I'm not this body like that, but one has to gradually come. This is. By hearing the Krishna Katha, he will come to that understanding gradually. The way we are in progressing in Krishna consciousness, hearing Krishna Katha, absorbing, that consciousness will purify in due course of time. Okay, so if the Supreme were to become conditioned by the illusion, where would he become, where would be his supremacy? So this is Maya. So Lord is Maya Gunavetikara Yadururu Vibhase. So he is always Maya Gunavetikara. He is above the Maya. And Maya is Mayam Chitad Apashriyam. Maya took the shelter of Krishna. And Vilajhamana. She is always shy to come in front of the Lord. So Lord is the supreme Lord person. She is the servitor of the Lord. Mayadhyakshana Prakritihi. She direct. She runs this material world under my direction. Krishna says that. Okay, so in that case, Maya or illusion would be the supreme. So therefore, because the living entities are conditioned by condition, they cannot become cannot be supreme. So we are all having material bodies. Lord does not have any material body. So these are also Dhruv Maharaj mentions in one of his prayers that they तिर्यक नगद विजय देव सरीसृप देव दैत्य देव दैत्य मच्चादिभिः परिचितं सदसद्विशेषम्. So and then he mentions one of the statements that so whatever the form which I am seeing now, so it is not one of these forms which I am seeing here in this material world. Machadivitam parichitam sadasad vishesham. Natah param paramavedbhi nayatra vadaha. There is no further arguments about it also. Rupam savishtam ajite mahadabhyanekam natah param paramavedbhi nayatra vadaha. There is no further argument. This form is above the material nature. Again, all devotees, whoever understands that one and who sees the Lord, that Lord's beautiful form, they only understand it. Okay, so and here conditioned soul is always impure in contact with the karanam gunasangasya saddhasajjoni janmasu. पुरुषः प्रकृस्तोऽपि भुङ्क्ते तत् प्रकृतिजान् गुणान् कारणं गुणसङ्गस्य सद् असज्जोनि जन्मसु. So as soon as he comes, he desires to enjoy and he'll come into the prakriti, and then by the attachment, by entanglement in the material world, he will be contaminated. Karanam gunasangasya sad asajjoni janmasu, and later on further goes according to his qualities, he further whether he will be elevated into upper or downward planetary systems. Okay, so that is three material modes of nature. Therefore, it is necessary, and also here, Badnanti Nichida Muktam Mainam Purusham Gunaha. So this one, again, living entity, कार्यकारण कर्तृत्वे द्रव्य ज्ञान क्रियाश्रयाः बध्नन्ति निश्चिदा मुक्तम्. He is always entangled by knowing some kind of knowledge, some kind of dravya to spend or the money. Dravya jnana kriya, knowledge and also activity and some expenditure. When we have got all these three things, then he does not stay quiet. He wanted to use the dravya. Using his intelligence, he performed the activity. That is, and then when he is performing activity, then what happens? He will be entangled into this material world. Okay, so therefore it is necessary that they purify themselves under the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, who not only is a Brahmana by qualification, but also be a Vaishnava. So this is Shatkarmoni Puno Mantra Tantra Visharadaha. Avaishnava Guru Nasyad. Swapacho Vaishnava Guruhu. Even the Swapacha, his Chandala, if he is a Vaishnava, he can become a Guru, but not the by Brahmanical qualification. But he must be a Vaishnava to become a Guru. And the only purifying process mentioned herein is to worship the Lord and the recognized method under the guidance of this bona fide spiritual master. Susrusha Sraddhanasya Vasudeva Katharuchihi. Susrusha Sraddhanasya, just render service very faithfully. Vasudeva Kataruchihi. Syan Mahatseva Vipraha Punyatirtha Nishevana. That is called Mahatseva. Rendering service to the spiritual master is called Mahatseva. Okay, that is Punyatirtha Nishevana. So under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master. So one has to take shelter of bona fide spiritual master. That is the natural way of purification, and no other method is recommended as bona fide. Okay, every statement of Bhagavatam and from Bhagavad Gita, tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshintite jnanam te jnanam jnanaha tattvadarshinah. They will give that knowledge when we surrender ourselves to the spiritual master. The other methods of purification may be helpful to come to this stage of life, but ultimately one has to come to this last point before he attains actual perfection. Okay, that is bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvam iti samahatma sudurlabha. So people, it takes lots of time to come to an understanding that Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Krishna is the supreme and he is the only one to be worshipped. Such kind of souls are very rare, and everything happens only. It requires a Vaishnava touch for any person in the spiritual path. Whoever wanted to go back to Vaikuntha planets or Golok Vrindavana, they need a touch of a Vaishnava. Otherwise, it is not possible. Vina Mahatpada Rajobhishekam, Jada Bharata says to Rahuguna. Vina Mahatpada Rajobhishekam. One has to uh, bathe in the dust of the devotees of the Lord. Then only it is available, that love of Godhead. Then only, once he get the love of Godhead, then only he will enter into the Vaikuntha planet. Yant Anjisa Achyuta Padam Achyuta Priya Bandhavaha. Many statements are confirming that. If you wanted to come into my home, you must know the rules and regulations and you know how to respect the host like that. Sometimes some people come and then they say that so I accept this Prabhuji as Guru, like he knows everything, and then we are under perfect Guru. But later on in the behind, they will say something like that. How dare you say speak to me like that? When we are saying something like Prabhuji, you shouldn't be doing like that, you should do like this. Of course, we do not criticize, but when we say something according to the Shastra, we do not go beyond the Shastras. But there should not be a duplicity. Where there is a duplicity, you cannot progress. Oh, I'm doing chanting all the time, and you should be punctual time, and then what kind of qualities? There is no titikshava here. There is no tolerance. There is no respect to other Vaishnavas. I'm furious. How can you be furious? You are Vaishnava, you have been engaging yourself for decades, but is it the Vaishnava qualities or a duplicity? When doing that one, just we say Hare Krishna, but how can different words be spoken at our Sangha here when we are doing here? This is duplicity. People who are not devotees disguising themselves and coming to the Sangha and disturbing the Sangha members. It is not Vaishnava etiquette. It is not acceptable policies. You need to be very careful. If they are like that, they do not need to come to our Sangha. We are not here to criticize anyone. We accept everyone, but not that there's a duplicity. In the front, thank you, Prabhuji, you are doing very well. In the behind, I don't like this. What kind of nature is that? It is not the senior. The age doesn't come into the picture. It is the Vaishnava qualities means he must be a saintly person, sadhu. Titikshavah, Karnikaha, Suradaha, Sarvadehinam, Ajatasatravaha, Shantaha, Sadhavaha, Sadhubhoshanaha. We need to get these qualities to be manifested in our culture, in our day-to-day life. Otherwise, it is not possible. I have been in Krishna consciousness for long, but it is not that. It is Lord. If he desires, he will allow himself into the devotees association. Otherwise, he would not allow. But by any way, if you are coming here, we need to follow the rules and regulations. Respect the Sangha members. No one is in the Vaishnava devotees. They never make any mistakes and they never offend anyone purposefully. One has to understand when they're saying something, you need to understand other side. But I may be different kind of having different natures. That doesn't mean that opposite person know all of my things and my expectations. He may not know. It is not possible to satisfy every one of the Sangha members. One has to go according to common rules and minimum sense. Okay, so that needs to be cultivated. Okay, so these are a few things, but that needs to be cultivated under bona fide spiritual master who comes in according to the Shastra. We do not go beyond the Shastra. It should be Vaishnavas means the soft-natured devotees always. Okay, so that is from Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so here Maitreya Muni saying, Ete varnaha swadharmena yajanti swagurum harim. Shraddha atma visuddhyartham yajjataha sahavrittibihi. Okay, that is Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Okay, and we shall move to Srila Prabhupada's daily letter. And a letter to Madhudvisha, November 24th, 1970, Bombay. So can I request any unallocated devotee to read this letter, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, may I read?
Yes, Mataji, please.
My dear Madhu Dvisha Maharaj, please accept my blessings. I beg to acknowledge receipt of your letter that you say, I am now prepared to give up all self-created designations and work only as your servant. This is the real position, transcendently loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. That is our real identification. All other identifications are false or temporary. Lord Chaitanya said that I am the servant of the servant 100 times removed. And similarly, we should think ourselves as the servant of the servant of the servant, and this attitude will lead to the success in Krishna consciousness. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 13.80. We can acquire that Hamilton building. It will be great credit to you and to our Krishna consciousness movement in India. Uh, People are expecting something from the American Vaishnavas, and so we should make every effort to serve them with a nice place, so that they may come and sit down with us and chant Hare Krishna and become Krishna conscious as Lord Chaitanya desire. Here in Bombay, we have already made over 30 life member. Every day we are receiving checks from influential men, and the preaching work is going on with great success. So try for that house, and we will see what Krishna desires. Hope you all are well and jolly in Krishna's service. Prabhu, can you just bring it a bit down? Scroll down, please. Thank you. Your ever well wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, postscript. If there is inconvenience, you may all come to Bombay. Your friend Jariwala has invited us to go to Surat in full strength. You may all go there directly or come to Bombay. We shall go together. We are seriously trying to purchase a nice house here. So if possible, send all collection, including the promised 25,000, in favor of International Society of Krishna Consciousness. Before coming here, please ship the deities to USA as it was arranged, and see Mr. Trivedi of Scindia's team navigation in this connection.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Yes, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhu. So the most important point is to understand our true constitutional position, Das Anudas, which is servant of the servant of the servant. Like directly, we are not qualified. We are so contaminated to serve the Lord. So when we accept Lord's lotus feet and serve the spiritual master and all the acharyas in their service, they can take us back to Godhead. And Supreme Personality is very happy when we understand our real position. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has come to demonstrate that, like in the though he is Lord Supreme Personality himself, but in the mood of Radharani with the fair complexion, he is serving Lord Jagannath and just as a servant, and everything he's doing just to as an exemplary to the world how we should have our position to serve the Lord. That's the mood. And then there's some admin thing he's saying. I think last letter I read, like Hamilton building, they wanted to have in Calcutta to purchase that so that they can have a nice Krishna consciousness movement in India, Calcutta. And Prabhupada mentioned that in Bombay they have made 30 life members, and from influential men there are Lakshmi coming and preaching work going on. And Prabhupada said it's people in India, because I mean from the West they have gone, they're expecting that the Western Americans who have come like transformed themselves in the Vaishnava etiquettes and practicing Krishna consciousness, they expect a bit more. So if and they have a nice place, and we make every effort to serve, then we'll make more people following the movement. So but again he gave in the caution, like in the postscript he says that if you find it difficult like to continue things in Calcutta, then please come and join us in Bombay, and we can do it all together, and send the money like as it's promised, so that they can help the movement in Bombay. Thank you, Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, nice reflections. Any other comments, dear devotees? Okay, so this is from Srila Prabhupada's letter. So here Prabhupada is one point is the mentioning here again. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I am the servant of the servant of 100 times. Of course, servant 100 times removed. So, and similarly, we should think ourselves as servant of the servant of the servant, and this attitude will lead to the success in Krishna consciousness. So this is the mood. Okay, when that mood is there, it doesn't matter the age will give qualification to get the respect. One must be very humble. Trunadapi sunicena tarorapi sahishnana amanena manatena kirtaniyaha sada harihi. Even though there are no faults and finding so many faults, it's not a Vaishnava etiquette. Okay, so that is from Srila Prabhupada's letter, and from the announcement point of view, so today is Thursday, we have got Krishna book at 8 p.m. Okay, that is our upcoming event, and dear devotees, if you've got any other comments or you wanted to share anything, any updates, kindly share.